So welcome to the channel, everybody. It's your boy, Coach T with Chicago Bears 360, back with another live and another video. Listen, we have a good show for you today. Today we're going to talk about the Bears offensive line moves. We're going to talk about the current roster, and we're going to get into perhaps maybe some of the moves they may make in free agency, and also some of the guys that we may pick up in the draft. So we have a good show for you today. So tune in. I hope you tap in. Do me a favor. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Also, do me a favor. Go over to Twitter and follow me at Bears360 Coach T, so you can tap into the tweets throughout the week. You can ask questions. We can just keep track of one another. We can stay tapped in for one another, and then we'll just see where it goes from there. But let's get into the show. Again, thanks again, and let's go.
Welcome to Chicago Bears 360, keeping it a buck with Coach T.
Contra.
Life like chess pieces, you know I roll in silence. On the road to them Benjis, I fill my teeth with diamonds. I'm high as fuck in the sky, you would've thought I'm pilot. I'm from Chicago, it get ugly, fill the streets with violence. Life like chess move to pieces, you know I roll in silence.
Past, present, future. We bear down.
Here we go. So welcome back again. This is your boy, Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. Sorry about that technical difficulty. Still getting used to it. But anyway, so last week we dove a little bit into Luke Getzey's past, his pedigree, his coaching pedigree, and we wanted to see what we can expect in this upcoming year with the Chicago Bears offense. So I dove into some of his previous stops, his coaching stops, to see what he ran there, and I broke that down in the video. So do me a favor, go back and take a look at that video, comment, like, and share. Let me know what you think about that. But listen, speaking of likes and comments and shares, I want to touch on something real fast and say, listen, we're probably one of the fastest growing Chicago Bears YouTube channels. So, and that's a thanks to you. Shout out to you guys. We're still new at this. We're still getting used to the technology, but we're making it work. And the most important thing is we're bringing y'all good information, the X's and O's of football about Chicago Bears and what they expect. But thanks to you all, listen, we hit 200 subscribers within a week, and we're approaching 300 fast. So that's all thanks to you all. I'm gonna do a quick shout out, maybe towards the latter end of this video, for our new subscribers. Matter of fact, how about this? How about I take the time and jump into that right now? Just do some quick shout outs. It shouldn't take long for me to get to that and pull up the names. Let me get some quick shout outs for the people that recently subscribed to the channel. Our boy Floyd Montgomery, thanks for subscribing to the channel. Greg Andreas, Damon Robin, Mickey, David Martin, my friends Jay and Katie Martin, Namor 828, DF Otaka, Ataka, I don't want to mispronounce anybody's name, Jocelyn 7 Iffy, Isaiah Chukwa, Antoine Jackson, and I think I caught Harrison Graham last time. So shout out to you guys for subscribing to the channel. Again, we're a new Bears YouTube channel. I thought it would be a good idea to break down Bears football from a coach's perspective. So I'm truly humbled by the response from everybody. But like I said, today's video, we're getting into some offensive line. I wanted to say something real fast too. We wanted to say that we're gonna name our followers. I don't like followers. I don't like it. It's kind of cringy to me, so I don't like followers. So I was gonna I want to give a shout out to the subscribers and give them a name. So I'm going with Soldiers, Field Soldiers. I know that might sound kind of corny, but we're going to go with it anyway. Let me know what you think of the name, Field Soldiers. Let's play on the name Soldier Fields. Maybe corny, maybe not, but hey, we're going to go with it anyway. But like I said, we're getting into it today. I'm going to do a breakdown of the Bears offensive line. But before I jumped into that, I wanted to talk about the video that I'm going to show. It's a breakdown from last year's season, and where I pointed out how Coach Nagy's 5-man protections didn't work, why they were bad ideas, why they were bad concepts. And I thought I did a good job of breaking it down, but I think a lot of fans believe or think that, you know, it's all about 5-man protection when your protection plan includes more than the 5 guys up front. And while it's ideal to go out and get 5 guys that can win one-on-one battles, that's what we ideally want. That's not always what happens. So I think this video does a good job of breaking that down. And then we're going to identify, like I said, guys that we think that can actually do the job with 5-man protection in Coach Getsy's scheme going forward. So like I said, thanks for following. Let's tap in. If you have comments or anything, just do while the video is playing. You can go ahead and ask your questions, and I'll do my best to answer those questions while this video is playing. So let's jump into it.
Welcome to Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T. We're going to break down some of the Cleveland film versus the Chicago Bears and let you know, kind of take a look at some of the things we've been emphasizing. Things that's going right and going wrong with Nagy's 5-man protections. You're going to be hearing a lot this week about the protections concept, some of the national media picking up on some of his flaws in his concept. Now, 5-man protection is basically these guys, what you consider offensive line, being the core blockers of any play, any pass play, and those guys alone, right? So why is that a big deal? It's a big deal because not on any level do you primarily block with just those guys, right? And the fundamental flaw in Nagy's concept is there's nothing wrong with 5-man protection in and of itself but you can't use it, or you shouldn't use it primarily as your go-to for protection, for pass protection. So with 5-man protection, if you're going to use it, the idea is the ball needs to be out within 5 to 7 yards, right? So with each man you add to the protection, you add the ability to go downfield a little bit more. So with 5-man protection here in this play, right, we got 5 up front, but we're going to get ready to roll this. And the ball's on, say, the 30, let's call it the 36-yard line. And ideally, with this protection, what you want to do is have the ball, the wide receiver's routes breaking and matching the protection, right? So if this man is at 5-man, you want the ball to be ideally out by the time all the receivers are hitting that line. And the challenge with Nagy's concepts is 5-man protection here doesn't match his wide receivers' distance. His protections doesn't match the distance. And I'm going to put this on display right here. So this is a 2nd and 9. We have the empty formation. Definitely 5-man protection. You clear this out, right? And you roll the play. I want you to pay attention to this yard line, the distance that we marked, that we want the ball to be out by, right? We want the ball to be out by that marker, which is about, we're going to call it the 32-yard line, right? 5 yards, 31. Let's call it the 31-yard line. Ball needs to be out no later than the 31-yard line. And then also, you can tell whether this is a concept that was put in or was drafted properly because the wide receivers will actually be looking for the ball by the time they reach that 31-yard line. So let's move it forward. Let's see, by the time the wide receivers hit the 31-yard line, is anybody breaking and looking for the ball? Boom, right there. Here's the problem. Everybody's still running with their back to the play. Where's Justin in his drop? Justin's already planting his back foot in the ground. If you want the ball to come out on time, these guys have to be breaking. The concept, the wide receiver routes have to match your protection. So if you're only going to have 5-man protect up here, then these guys got to be breaking at 5 to 7 yards. And as you can see, they're still running with their back to the play. And this is not good. This is not a good play design. And this is the fundamental problem and flaw with Nagy's pass protection and route concepts, right? So you want the ball to be coming out by the time they hit that mark. But let's see what happens. They're still running 10 yards. He has to wait for them to come open because the play is not designed. So they're at some of them 10 yards, still not breaking. This is a design flaw. And this is the fundamental problem with Nagy. Now, if it's designed for the wide receivers to run 10 yards down the field, if you really want to get wide receivers 10 yards down the field, what you need to do is add an additional body back here to protect longer, right? Give this guy some help with a running back and another guy help with a running back and a tight end, because each man adds to the number of men protecting. So this is the fundamental flaw with Nagy's protection scheme. So again, you have another
So listen, we're back, and that was just, the basics of five-man protection and why it's critical that going into the season that Ryan Poles is able to identify guys that can hold up in five-man protection. And I want to emphasize that, teams typically don't use five-man protection more than about 10 to 15% of the plays during a particular game. You got to keep in mind those defensive linemen are athletes. So, somebody's going to win the one-on-one, right? Somebody, you might have an Aaron Donald on the other side where you expect that guy to win, right? So even if they're only sending 4 bodies, it's a numbers game, right? So even if they only send 4 bodies, you commit 2 guys to Aaron, then that means the other guys are locked up in, one-on-one battles, and you're expecting them to hold up in any given time, right? And so when we're facing teams like LA that has, more than 2 good pass rushers, then you expect to start adding bodies to the protection plans, running backs and tight ends and so on and so forth, to give you an opportunity to get the ball down the field. And that's what that's all about. And then also you can do some other things. Play action allows you to get the ball down the field because it ties up linebackers, and, defensive linemen have to respect the run first anyway. Other things help you with pass protection, but primarily you want to start with the core of your offense by making sure you get, 5 guys that you think can hold up in five-man protection. So let's take a look at our current roster, and see what we're looking at. You got Jason Peters, Tevin Jenkins that we drafted in the 2nd round last year was a big surprise. He was actually my pre-draft pick to come to the Bears, so I was really thrilled with that pick. We're going to see how he pans out. A lot of questions about Tevin coming off an injury. Jermaine Ifedi, I'll get to him in a minute. Cody Whitehair, James Daniel, Elijah Wilkinson, Larry Borum is also one of our draftees from last year, and Sam Mustipher. So do me a favor, in the comments, do me a favor, even if you're watching this video on the playback, let me know which one of these guys that you want to see us cut, or which 2 of these guys, or which group of these guys you think we should cut, and I'll give you my opinion in just a second. We'll jump into it. I'll give a couple more seconds to comment, and then we'll jump into it. Let me know which group, or 2 or 3, maybe 2 or 3 guys that you think we should cut if we want 5 guys that can stand up in five-man protection. Now, I know we have 2 rookies at the left tackle, and there's no guarantee with those guys, but I think they played pretty solid last year. I still have questions about, I'm still concerned about the amount of time that both of them received help from running backs and tight end, but that's what you would expect with a rookie, left tackle and right tackle. That's what you would expect with a rookie. But going into next season, we definitely have to see, what we have at the tackle positions for the foreseeable future. But for right now, I'm okay, just okay with going in the season with those guys. Now, as far as the other guys on the roster, and I'm thinking I would cut immediately, or I would cut this season. The first on the list would definitely have to be Jermaine Ifedi. And from what Ryan Poles has communicated through the press and the things he's saying about, what he wants to do with this offensive line, I just don't believe Jermaine Ifedi is a cultural fit. There's unwritten rules to offensive line play, and the stunt he pulled in Pittsburgh by jumping on Tevin Jenkins, a young, impressionable rookie left tackle who was coming to the aid of the defense of his quarterback. He was doing what every offensive lineman is taught from grade school all the way up to the pros to do: protect your quarterback. And Jermaine Ifedi embarrassing him on national TV, embarrassing himself, embarrassing the franchise is not what you want in an offensive lineman. His mentality really showed in that play, and to me, that's kind of unforgivable in that sense. So definitely want to see Jermaine Ifedi go, and he's just decent at his job. He's nothing exceptional at his job. So why not bring somebody in there that's going to protect the quarterback and get the job done? The next guy is a no-brainer for me too. Sam Mustipher. Although here and there, Sam would show flashes of, being a guy, being a dude. Sam just doesn't have it. He doesn't have what it takes. And you can't have the middle of your pocket being pushed back. You can't have the middle of the park. You can't have the center being pushed into the quarterback's lap. If anything, that middle of that offensive line has to hold up in pass protection. And Sam is just not strong enough to get the job done in pass protection and or run protection. So my two picks to get cut off that offensive line is Sam Mustipher and Jermaine Ifedi. And now we'll take a look at some of the guys that I think in free agency are a candidate. These are my top 5 guys, replacement for Jermaine Ifedi. But before we jump into it, I want to do this real fast and let you know this quick piece of information. James Daniels is a free agent restricted signing, unrestricted free agent this year. And there's a lot of concern about what's going to happen with James Daniels. Although James Daniels is a decent right guard, I'm going to tell you this. James Daniels' salary is probably what's going to put him in jeopardy. He's a young, decent talent that we could re-sign. But if he was lights out, just a dog, then I would have no problem re-signing for the amount of money. I think it's something like 4 years, $50 million or something like that. But he's just not that dude. So with that being said, as a matter of fact, 2 of the top free agents we're going to look at, James Daniels could potentially command. We could get 2 of those guys for Jermaine Daniels' salary that he may command in free agency. You're talking 4 years, about 55, 60 million. We can get 2 of those free agents for about 3 years each. So we're going to get into that and take a look at my top 5 guys that I think that can replace James Daniels and James Daniels in free agency. So I'm looking for a guard. I'm looking for a guard that's a gap power fit that I discussed in the previous videos, a Kyle Shanahan type of guard that's going to be athletic, that's going to be a pulling guy that can pull from both sides of the formation to shade the numbers or manipulate the numbers so we can have a numbers advantage on one side of the formation or the other. So the first guy I'm looking at is Connor Williams from the Dallas Cowboys. And you can see right there his strengths are in the blocking on the move, combo block. So blocking on the move is a Kyle Shanahan type of offensive guard, somebody that can pull, like I said, and get out on the perimeter, that can block in space. Combo blocks, that means double the climb, meaning if there's a combo block with a center, that the guard usually has to come off that block and get to the next level and get to a linebacker. So not only can he pull both ways, but he can come off those combo blocks and get to the next level and get on a linebacker so we can move the running game. And so you see right there, his weaknesses is blocking players with length and power and penalties. So there's always a trade-off with any offensive lineman. But if they have that core mentality you have that core skill set for a Kyle Shanahan type offense, a gap power offense, that means pulling, and they are good at the point of attack, then they're a good candidate. Our next guy we're going to take a look at is keeping James Daniels. It's always an option. Like I said, James is going to be expensive. He's going to be 4 years, $55 million. He's going to break the bank as it pertains to the offensive lineman. And although we got 2 rookies playing on the outside, you still want to spread the wealth with that money. And it's just not smart. If you can get 2 potential, free agent studs for the price of 1, then you definitely want to do that. So, like I said, I'm not a fan of keeping James Daniel for the financial reasons. The next guy we're going to look at is Brandon Sheriff from the Washington Commanders. What's said about Brandon Sheriff's strengths? He's reliable in pass protection, which again is a key thing that we talked about for guys being able to stand up in 5-man protection and zone blocking. Now, although zone blocking is not the primary concept that I believe Luke Getsy is going to go with this offense is going to be more Kyle Shanahan, gap power. I do believe he's going to smartly mix in some zone concepts. He's going to use it like we use condiments, right? You don't sit down and just eat a plate full of ketchup or mayo or mustard. He's going to, to keep the defense honest, he's going to mix in some zone read, and RPO concepts just to give the defense more to prepare for. So Brandon Sheriff might be, one of those guys that we're going to look at. And then next we're going to take a look at my top 2 guys for center and guard. Ryan Jensen from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Super Bowl champion. We've all seen Ryan Jensen in action. One of his downfalls, they list as overly aggressive sometimes. But listen, this Bears offensive line needs a leader in the center of that offensive line, somebody that is overly aggressive, an alpha male, a coach of that offensive line. And the center is the key position because the center makes the offensive line calls. So really in that offensive line group, you do want an aggressive guy. You want an alpha male. You want a dog that's going to lead that group. They're going to be a fraternity of sorts, like your own special forces on the offensive line, and they're going to get the job done. And especially with 2 rookie left tackles, right? You want a guy that's going to, make the right calls and always be there to help coach on the field and get those guys in the right position. So I don't see his over aggressiveness as a weakness. They listed strength as finishing and maintaining the block and then blocking in space. Again, I talked about how the offensive guard has to climb sometimes and get to the next level. It's key to have offensive linemen that can climb and get to the next level, blocking in space. When you pull offensive linemen, you want to know that when they're going up against a quicker, faster guy, a linebacker, a safety, or maybe even a corner on screens, that they know how to chop their feet, break down, and they can still make those blocks in space. So Ryan Jensen is one of my top 2 guys that in free agents that I think is a good fit for offensive line. And I hear a lot of talk about Brian Allen from the Los Angeles Rams. Brian Allen would be an okay pickup for me. I just think, Brian Allen, I think to me, he's a little bit of a trade-off, if you will. If you look at his card, they list one of his weaknesses as pass protection. And Sean McVay runs more of a zone scheme, zone-heavy scheme anyway, so it doesn't require that, Here's the thing. With the center, if you're going to pull guards with the center, you have to be a guy that's stout. You have to be a bigger guy that's stout, and you have to be a Ryan Jensen type. You have to be super aggressive. That's why I don't care for Brian Allen so much from the Rams, even though he's a Super Bowl winner. I would prefer Jensen and pay the money for Jensen because not only do you get a Super Bowl champion also, but you get a leader for that group. And like I said, he's a bigger, more aggressive guy. And when you're pulling guys around the back of the center, you want a guy that can hold his own at the point of contact. That's why I prefer Jensen over Brian Allen. And then my last guy at guard is coming in as Laken Tomlinson from San Francisco 49ers. And I know, what his card says, but, Laken is coming out of a Kyle Shanahan system that I like, where they have pulling guards and pulling tackles. So he's familiar with powers and counter concepts. He's familiar with pulling. He's familiar with the mentality that Ryan Poles described that he wants in offensive linemen, that aggressive style run game where offensive linemen can come up and point to the hole they're running to on a given play, and they still beat you anyway. But we read off his card, his strength and value, and add in the running game, one of the highest percentages of positive grades, run blocks, zone blocking is a strength of his, and they list weakness in pass blocking on true pass sets and locking onto targets on the move. So, yeah, he may have a little bit of a problem finishing once he locks in targets when he's blocking, but those are points that's correctable and coachable given the right coach, and I believe we got the right coach. So there's some names that be looking out for you to be looking out in free agency. Again, my top 2 guys are Ryan Jensen from Tampa Bay and Laken Tomlinson from the San Francisco 49ers. I like those guys, and I like them especially, again, because you can get both of those guys for the price of James Daniels. That's the key, right? So Ryan Poles also can't just look at who's a dog and he's going to have to balance the budget of sorts to make sure we get the right guy. Also, some guys for you to be looking out for in the draft, and we could potentially draft a guard, right? So you can do some things. You can draft a guard, a young guy that's a stud. If you can get somebody that you feel is a day one starter and move them in that position in guard and still sign another free agent, they have a number of options. They can move Cody Whitehair to center and get two guards, right? Get two guards to come in and fill in the middle of that offense, three studs down the middle, or they can just keep Cody at guard and they can draft some competition behind him. And a couple guys for you to keep your eye out for in the draft that could potentially be good fits. That's good. That's said to be good in a gap power scheme is Lecitus Smith out of Virginia Tech. Lecitus Smith out of Virginia Tech. I don't know what mom's doing with these names these days, but God bless her. Lecitus Smith out of Virginia Tech. And then also Zion Johnson. Two names to look out for as draftees in for the Chicago Bears at the guard position. Again, these are guys that they said that are good, mobile. You can look them up on YouTube. Some very good tape. I think they would be good for a Kyle Shanahan style offense. That would be a good fit. So that's it as far as, offensive linemen, free agents, and draftees. I'm gonna go position by position and start focusing on position by position, what our current guys are doing, how they fit the current scheme, and what we need to do maybe in free agency, if the answer is in free agency or if the answer is in the draft. So for the next couple weeks, I'll focus on offense. I think next we'll go to the wide receivers and then the tight ends, because I believe we're set at running back. We have two guys that can get the job done, and of course, quarterback and running back. Quarterback, we're fine for the foreseeable future. So over the next two videos, I'll focus on wide receivers and tight ends so we can see what we have in that position. So next up, anybody that watched the previous videos know I started this segment called The Drunk Uncles, and we're going to get into it here in
Anything is possible, got feelings in my cup. I see everything in double, got two blunts, I'm rolling up. I've been walking in a circle, no expression, now I'm stuck. 34 the client calls like Giannis chasing bucks. Anything is possible, got feelings in my cup. I see everything in double.
All right, guys. So I don't have a clear-cut favorite for this week. Drunk Uncle of the Week award. It's kind of a bit of a tongue twister, but I don't have a clear favorite. But I always try to keep it about the X's and O's, right? And try to be, educational when it comes to, the videos that I put out. So my Drunk Uncle of the Week award goes to anybody and everybody that's talking about Thomas Graham Jr. and being critical of the previous coaching staff for not identifying Thomas Graham Jr. earlier as a potential starter. And the reason why I'm giving those people that have that take the Drunk Uncle or Uncles of the Week award is because people don't understand how practice reps go. Players, if you don't come in as a high draft pick, you have very little opportunity to show your skill set in practice, right? You have training camp pretty much to shine, because at training camp, that's the only time throughout the season that practice squad guys are going 100%, meaning they're going full bore. They're showing 100% of their skill set to the coaching staff. So you have that little bit of window to show what you got. But even in that small window, you're getting still minimum reps. They want to see. They teaching plays. They're teaching defense. So they're going to give that number one guy and maybe the number two guy the majority of the reps in practice. When the season starts, right, these practice squad players are getting minimum reps. They are actually only mimicking the defense. They're only mimicking the defense of the opponent, right? And they're only doing that at about 50% speed. So there's very little opportunity for a practice squad player to show his skills, right? There's very little opportunity. Like they get zero number one reps. That's a given. They get zero number one reps at all. And even the practice squad reps they're giving a shell or a shadow or mimicking the upcoming opponent's defense, and they're only going at about 50% because you don't want to get your starting offensive players hurt in practice. So they're not giving these guys reps so they can see what they got. So I get it. Everybody hates Nagy. I don't like his coaching style. I didn't like his coaching style, but I just thought that was a bad take throughout the year, throughout the season. And I keep hearing it, like, screw Nagy for not getting Thomas Graham, Jr., giving them reps and get them in there faster. That's not how that works, man. I hate to break it to you, but that's not how that works. They don't get full-time reps to show their skill set throughout the season. But I'll say this, and I'll add to that. Thomas Graham Jr. was a bad fit for Sean Desai's defense. Thomas Graham Jr. actually shined. If you watch the tape, and I did last year, Thomas Graham Jr. shined in cover 3, odd number coverages, cover 1 and cover 3, which are more man-based coverages. So he gets to turn and run on a cover 3, meaning he has an outer third of the field, right? And he gets to turn and run, right, knowing that he has inside help. Man coverage, he wasn't good at. He wasn't good at anything that mimicked or resembled anything kind of man coverage. So man coverage and coverage 3, where he gets locked up and he has little safety help, little safety help. He has single high safety, so he has to cover that outer third by himself. Single high safeties aren't always able to get over there to help. So, but what he does shine in is a cover 2 high safety, where he has 2 safeties, a safety over him to protect him if he gets himself in trouble. And the good news is Tampa 2 is a better fit for him. So I said all that to say this. It's a bad take, and you guys get the drunk uncles for saying that last season, but he's actually a better fit for this defense, especially when we're in cover 2 zone, where he can play aggressive. He knows he has a safety help over the top, and he can play more aggressive down in his quadrant of the zone, right? He'll thrive in that. And even in a Tampa 2 cover 2 man, he'll thrive because he knows he has safety help over the top. He thrives in those coverages. So you guys get the drunk uncles of the award, drunk uncles of the week award. I gotta say that and practice that. You guys get the drunk uncles. Maybe I should get the drunk uncles of the week award. You guys get the drunk uncles of the week award for the bad takes. And I hope you're smarter and understand why he wasn't getting the reps. 2, he was a bad fit for the defense. And when he did play, he forced Desai to play 2 high safeties. And you have to be more versatile. You got to be able to play both with 1 single high safety and 2 high safety, so the defense can be varied, right? So when they have to walk a safety down in the box, you're not left in no man's land, and you're not a liability in the back of defense. So listen, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope it was a good breakdown for you. Do me a favor, like I said, like, subscribe, share. I know we had some technical difficulties, but listen, we're going to keep this thing rolling. We're going to get better at it. We're at over 200 subscribers and climbing. I appreciate it. I thank you guys for that. We're going to run this thing up. We're going to get better at it. And, we're just going to keep this thing going. So like I said, thanks for joining us today. And we're going to see you on Saturday. Saturday at 12 Eastern time on the live, 11 Central time. We're going to jump into it. We're going to talk wide receivers. We're going to break it down, free agents and draft prospects. So let's get into it. Thanks for joining the live. This is your boy, Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. Let's go.